My practice has spread over almost 20 years, about 17 years, and it's primarily painting, but I've flirted with all different other types of materials, and photography has been a through line since 2011. So there's something about photography, I think, where people see it as evidence of something that actually happened, like it's a reality, a window that we're looking into, like a real thing, even though it's all completely contrived and I'd built a set or gone to a location and set everything up just how I wanted it. With the image behind me, it was shot at Collingwood Children's Farm. So the chickens were very well behaved and used to being handled, and we had animal handlers there with us. One of the things that I'm really interested in, specifically with my photographs, is borrowing from the imagery of cinema and storytelling, where I like the idea that you are entering into a scene halfway through. So I like that tension in the work where it's deliberately tender. The fox is holding and being quite nurturing with this chicken, but at the same time you're unsure whether he's holding his lunch or he is actually being careful. Like he's sitting in a camping chair, like he's gonna be there for a little while and he's absolutely trespassing. But there is a little bit of uncomfortability with how this is gonna play out. And I like that because then people can interpret which way it's gonna go. Wherever foxes are, they're trespassing. Like there's no space where they're welcome. This creature that exists in liminal spaces, like on the urban fringe. And I related to that experience growing up on the urban fringe, not wrong to say unwelcome in most spaces. And I think that is a source of so much frustration. Not being welcome or seen as threatening. All the elements were very deliberate. So from the fox mask itself, deliberately not too realistic, but also not too cartoony. It's this bizarre in-between space. And then the subject, which is me, it's a self-portrait wearing the tracksuit with the slides on and socks and the esky with the camping chair. I was referencing and looking a lot at people that are living on the urban fringe and in liminal spaces between things, between the regions and between urban centres. But then also a tracksuit has been a reoccurring image in my work as the universal uniform of disaffected youth. Like I remember growing up, and you were like, where I grew up, it's not a very fancy area at all, but like a nice tracksuit was aspirational. Like if you got an actual Adidas tracksuit like that, it will probably get stolen off you, but it's a really nice thing to have, and to have one was a flex. It's an interesting dynamic in the way that fashion is used to communicate things. Before studying art, I studied journalism, and one of the many advantages that it gave me is that we spent a long time studying semiotics and semiology, and that has really fed into the way that I visually interpret things, into my visual language and how I communicate ideas. And so I see each element, whether it's a painting or a photograph, which is like a word in a sentence that might not make sense if you put it in a linear way, but it gives you an impression of a bigger idea. And I like that. It's kind of like you're feeding clues to something else. But those impressions, I hope to leave those impressions on people and get them to think about things in a slightly different way.